Okay, so this video is going to be a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. There's a very specific highlight today that I'm being asked to go into, and it actually has to do with the planet and how the planet actually is connected to us energetically, and how the multidimensionality of the planet affects us through frequency shifts, ascension, healing, and as well as grounding. Okay, so because we're going through this double density shift, basically 4D, 5D. Some people are even expanding beyond that. It's a pretty complicated process. So to be able to navigate it really smoothly, it's just good to have awareness of what's happening. Okay, so with the planet, just like us, we have 7 layers to our field. Each layer in our field is a different density, okay? 1st through 7th, okay? The planet also has 7 layers to our field, and it is the 7 densities, okay? 1 through 7 are matter. Above 7 is light and sound, okay? There's collective mindscapes, celestial beings, those types of things exist in the higher density ranges, okay? 7 through 1 is matter. Obviously, 7th is the lightest. It's a very fluid density range. It exists as primarily light, but it still has a lot of shape and form and feels like mass, okay? And so on. So in our field, we have the levels 1 through 7, and we access those levels through raising our frequency and healing, okay? Raising our frequency, raising our consciousness to then be able to attune to, acclimate, and integrate the information that is held in those layers and levels, okay? With Earth shifting, she is now graduating into the 5th density, which is why we can anchor into her. Okay, she's already done that. We can anchor into that 5th density reality of the planet. Okay, she has levels 1 through 7 as well. So as you move on this path, as you activate and clear and expand, you can actually ground into those levels and layers of the planet. Okay. So basically, as the Earth had the reversal fields, those have since been released. People are still moving in that flow of energy, just out of pattern, habit, programs, okay? And that's why we had to do this jump over into the Aurora platforms, the basically fail-safe of the grid system, and ground into the 5D core. This may or may not be necessary now. I know there is basically a graduation to make it into the 5D and be able to ground. Otherwise, there is dissonance, distortions, and you're just not going to be able to anchor well into the 5D system, okay? But what happens from there is the 5D system, once you're grounded in the 5D, and it's activated and you're anchored in, and you continue elevating. I'm watching this with a few clients. Then you access the 60 of your own 60 energy body. You start forming the 60 energy body. And once that happens, then you can connect to the 60 earth and the 60 core. Okay, same with the 70. But what's happening here is you don't stop connecting to 5D or 3D or 4D or 1D, you connect through all of them, okay? They're all overlayered. So it's like, this is, say, 1D. This would be 2D, and this isn't a band. It's a completely different density that overlays 1D. Okay, so you can move into and out of 1D and 2D then when you activate 3D. Again, it's the entire space, okay? It's not a band. People think these are bands. They're not bands. It's a different density. It encompasses the entire planet, and it expands as the frequency expands. That's why your 7th level of your field is out here, whereas your 1st only comes to here. Okay, there's an expansion. Okay, so when you move into you start forming the higher density fields within yourself and your consciousness, and expanding and strengthening those higher frequencies, then you can ground and connect to the higher frequencies of the planet and the higher densities of the planet as well. Okay, so that's what they wanted me to talk to you guys about, because it's a frequency thing, and it happens to expanding your consciousness, healing, and then grounding and connecting. But it's not like you're shifting into a completely different realm. You're just anchoring into more realities, basically. So once you anchor into 5D, you're in 5D, 4D, 3D, 2D, 1D, but you're primarily going to be running in one of those densities. Okay, so people that are in 5D can move into 3D, 4D energies and realities, but they're going to be primarily running in 5D, and that's going to be their reality and their timeline. Okay, so, and then same with 60, 70. So if you're really expanded, you will be primarily running in the 60 or the 70, but you can still connect to those lower densities and the lower timelines of the planet. Okay, and when I say lower, I mean lower vibrational. Okay, 3D, 4D is a lower vibrational timeline. So it will just be your overriding reality will be in that higher density. Okay, does that make sense? I hope so. So that's how it makes sense that you can be in a higher density and primarily founded in that reality, but move through the lower. But the lower timelines and people experiences cannot rise to the higher because they haven't done the work. Okay, so the people that are rising in frequency, holding and stabilizing these energies and grounding into the higher density earth energies will be experiencing that primarily, but they can experience the lower densities as well. Okay, but what you don't want to do here is get stuck on a lower timeline, and that's why the healing process happens through each density. You have to clear all those blocks so that you don't ever get stuck or trapped in those lower timelines. Okay, so that was the primary thing for today.